Hello, welcome to Sean Kelt Dog Training. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. I'm here with Davina, and this is kind of a part two. We did a jumping video in a parallel to this, so feel free to check out the jumping video if you haven't. This one's the leash walking video, and we're talking about how we don't really process, our brain doesn't properly process a negative. And so this goes to looking at what is our expectation of the dog. And most owners that I talk to, one of the big things is leash pulling. And their goal then is to say, I need my dog to stop pulling on the leash, or I don't want my dog to pull on the leash. And my example of not being able to process the negative would be for me to say, don't think about a bear. You're like, what, a bear? I'm like, yeah, don't think about a bear. Well, y'all just did. I'm sure no one was thinking about a bear before I said that. But either the word bear popped into your head, or maybe an image of a bear popped into your head. And you're probably sitting there, well, you know, if you hadn't said that, I wouldn't have thought about a bear at all. So we can't, our brain goes to the word or the action behind the no, stop, or don't. It doesn't really prevent us from going there. So what happens is this goes to our brain's focus. So if we think I want my dog to stop pulling, all we're thinking about is pulling. And I've been in like PetSmart, let's say, or any pet kind of store, you know, place where dogs can be, sometimes even just at the park. I could see a dog's friendly and the owner doesn't mind my saying hi to the dog, and the dog might be pulling, and I'll try to step close enough to the dog where the dog wouldn't have to be pulling to reach me. And I'll have the owner be the one to maybe wrap the leash around their hand another time or whatever, but the tension ends up staying on that leash and the dog is still, you know, getting pulled on. Is the dog even doing the pulling in that situation? No, because the dog's at me, and this might be hard to visualize this, my apologies, but the dog would be at me and I'm trying to say hi to it, and it's just, and I'm trying to step into it so that the leash doesn't have to be so tight, but the owner's taking the slack out of the leash. And that same owner would be an owner that would say, my dog always pulls, my dog always pulls. And my submission is there are times when the dog's not pulling, it's the owner that's doing all the pulling. So as we say, she's looking, good girl, come back this way. She's like, you're boring. As we look at then, what do we want? If the wrong image is in our head to think, stop pulling, don't pull, stop pulling, don't pull, what do we want? And you might be a little stuck. And some of you might think, well, I want the dog close to me, like at my side. I've seen a lot of dogs pull at the very hardest right at the owner's side. So just proximity to the person doesn't necessarily mean the dog is not pulling. So what constitutes whether or not a dog is pulling? That's what Davina is here for. Is she pulling on the leash? No. How do you know she's not pulling on the leash? Maybe she's pulling. This is how we know. Wah! The leash is loose. That's how we know she's not pulling. So I'm going to walk a little mini circle. Are you going to pay attention? She's like, no. Are you going to pay attention? No. I'm not paying attention. Good girl. And we walked a little mini circle. I got her attention, clucked so she knew I was moving, and we walked on a loose leash. That's the goal. And it might seem like the simplest of, it might almost seem like I'm splitting hairs about this. This is everything. If you go from your brain thinking, oh, don't pull, stop pulling, if only my dog would stop pulling, to thinking, I want a loose leash. Now it's easier to recognize, and we get into this in the, feel free obviously to join into the full leash walking series, but there's a moment in time that a dog goes from correct to incorrect with leash pulling. And it's when the leash goes from slack, there's a moment where they reach the end of the leash and it's tight. And then you have a decision. Some dogs feel that tight leash and they just pull all the harder. Like they'll put all their weight down towards the ground and they just start full dragging. I know some of you are like, oh my gosh, my dog does that. And then you're skiing behind them. And that's what happens when that leash goes tight. Other dogs, like Davina, if the leash goes tight, make the leash, oh, well, you stepped too soon. If the leash goes tight, she actually gives to the pressure of the leash. So I'm going to make the leash go tight, and she gives to the pressure of the leash, and now the leash is loose. So there's that moment in time now that we know what we want. Before, when we only thought about don't, not, and stop, we didn't really, I don't think you have a proper image in your head of what correct is. But now we know, hey, I want the leash to be loose. So happy with that. Join in on the leash walking series. Certainly if you need it, feel free to watch, like I said, that parallel video about the jumping, the jumping, no jumping video, and come join in the fun. Happy training.